I got 7 o'clock on my computer, so we're ready to start.
Yep.
Call the regular meeting of the city council to order. If you'd please rise, we'll have the pledge of allegiance. Led by Councilman Brandon Watson.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Welcome to the regular meeting of the city council. So happy to see all of you here. You picked a perfect evening to come since 2 of the council are traveling, and so they're here by Zoom. So they get to only see you through their electronic lenses. We have another couple of council members who are sick, and some of them are also either on Zoom directly or in Zoom meetings, by phone. So I'm sorry that we don't have all 7 of us here to see you personally, but we are, for the most part, all participating in this meeting. So we're going to start with council member reports, which will be quite short since we only have 2 of us here. So Councilman Brandon Watson, do you have anything you'd like to report on?
We just recently attended the Southwest Valley Chamber of Commerce Board meeting, and I am continuously amazed at the growth and the progress that they've made over the last couple of years under really good leadership. And so that's really basically all I have for right now. All
right, good. I don't have a report for this evening, but I do want to let you know that we are making a slight change in the way that we conduct our meetings. Our agendas have gotten quite long, and so we have had difficulty getting the meetings done within a reasonable period of time. So our report sections are going to be slightly different than they have been in the past. All of the reports are in our packets and they're all available to you as a public document. I think you probably either have the packets or you can get them if you'd like them. We're only going to go through, for the most part, the report section on things that the council has questions on, so that we're hoping that we can speed up some of the meeting to get through some of these items more quickly. So with that, we're going to go to the city manager report on current events. And I don't know if there's any questions from anybody on council for anything that's in the packet on his reports. Councilman Brandon Watson.
Not going to be too much confusion as to who you're acknowledging.
No.
I forgot to mention I attended the Flag Day presentation. And once again, your staff did a great job with preparing for that and having everything there. And it was nice to see the Army celebrate their birthday.
It was.
And personal to me, as I'm an Army brat. So thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for being there. All right. Any questions from anyone on the Zoom meeting? Any of the council members? All right. Seeing none, we're going to move on to the next item, the agenda, which is a response to last meeting's call to the community. There were 2 comments, one by Carter Wilson, and I understand that the city manager has given him a response to his comments. There was also a comment from Miss Hadley Harper. I don't know if Hadley's here. Good to see you again, Hadley. And I understood that you wanted to have a response, a public response, as opposed to meeting with the city manager. So for that reason, I'm going to try to give you a response to your comments about the library. I want to note before we get started, this response is only to your comments and it is not intended to then provoke more comments. And if you have another comment you want to make, you'll have to sign up for another call the community comment, which is the next item on the agenda. The council has not been presented with the issue of whether to move the library from its current location in this building. So at this point, there is no decision that has been made on moving the library. That would be a complete response to the comments that you've made, but would not really be in good faith in terms of trying to answer what I think your real question was. So I'm going to go a bit beyond that to try to explain what has been happening. The library is operated by the County Library District under an agreement with the city of Litchfield Park. The city owns this building and we agree with the county to provide this building for use by the county library district. And we maintain the building, pay for utilities and landscaping and those sorts of things. So the county then comes in the library district, and they provide the librarians and the books and the various things that are done inside the walls of this library. The council has generally directed staff to work on solving of various long-term issues that face our city. Some of those problems are relevant to this question of the library. The current library does not meet the needs of the library district. It is too small and too old to allow the county to offer a complete, comprehensive library program. This is something the county has been complaining to the city about for years. Users of the library are not experiencing the same level of service as in other county libraries. This concern by the county library district has been communicated to the county supervisors, board of supervisors on many occasions and for over several years. Another issue facing the city is that City Hall does not meet the needs of city staff for office space. For the most part, everyone who works for the city is in a shared office environment, so that we do not have any private offices with very few exceptions. So the City Hall is not adequate for our city staff, and it has not been for several years. I can tell you, when I first became mayor, within 2 or maybe 3 years, 2 years, we had started working on the need for designing a new city office building so that there would be more adequate space for city staff. We have not been able to really solve that problem, but you will see that we have done things like put in temporary office space in the form of a trailer that sits out behind City Hall. It's not a very good solution to the problem, but it at least has given us enough flexibility to continue to operate. The city council does not have adequate space to hold its meetings. This is a very good example. We're holding our meetings. We do not have a dais. Normally there are 7 of us here, and we don't have enough space to hardly sit at this table and conduct a meeting. Tonight it's easy because there's only 2 of us, but I think you can imagine 7 of us around this table. We don't have enough space for any type of citizen involvement. Once we have any number of citizens like tonight coming in, we've got standing room only, and it's not a good situation. We can't provide a secure environment. One of the things that if you go around the other city council meetings, you'll see is that the environment that you're in is much more secure. There's people checking bags and making sure that people aren't bringing in something that could be used to harm either people in the audience or harm the council, so that the council does not have adequate space. The Historical Society's current facility is on the corner of Litchfield Road and Camelback. That facility is owned, it's a small house called Aunt Mary's house. That facility is owned by Sun Health. It is not adequate for the Historical Society's needs. The Historical Society has tremendous number of archives that they cannot store. They don't have room to put up the number of exhibits that they'd like to put up. So that building is a problem for the Historic Society. And the building is only going to be able to be used by the society until the time that Sun Health wants to develop that corner. So there's no certainty on how long the Historic Society can even use the current facility that they're in. The Historical Society was offered an opportunity by the Denny family to raise funds to restore the Litchfield house that sits on top of the hill, with the idea that that house could become the headquarters for the Historical Society. The Denny family gave $1 million that had to be matched by fundraising efforts by the Historical Society. The Historical Society has now raised sufficient amount of funds that between what they raised and with the matching funds, they are ready to restore the home up on top of the hilltop. So now we as a city have to determine some very significant problems. We have very significant problems up there, and I think you can imagine how many palm trees there are. You know, it literally cost us, I think, $100,000 just to have the palm trees trimmed last year. All of the vegetation has to be trimmed. And we've got a variety of things that need to be done up on the hilltop to make it something that's not an eyesore. We have a problem with vandalism on the hilltop because we don't have enough activity around the current house, that we have had vandals break into the old homestead. And we've been fortunate that we haven't had serious damage done to some things that are not replaceable. So vandalism is a serious problem. And it's not clear that the limited amount of activity that may be around what the Historical Society is going to be able to bring, that activity will be enough that it will naturally protect the hilltop from vandalism. So we're concerned that we need more activity on the hilltop, and that the hilltop needs to be put into a much better condition than it is today, so that it is something the community can be proud of, and so that it is incorporated more into our lifestyles. So some of the potential solutions to these problems that we have been working on. We have been working on bringing more activity to the hilltop that would be put up there in conjunction with the Historic Society. We have the Farm and Ranch Experience, who we've been in negotiations with and who we've presented lease proposals to. We're hoping that they will move up there and bring their Farm and Ranch Experience, their museum of farm equipment, up to the hilltop. We're working on moving the Litchfield train station that is in storage now, moving it from storage and onto a new pad so that its permanent home will become on the hilltop. We are working to figure out how we raise the money to restore the terraces and the bandstand so that we can use those assets for events and other community activities that, again, will generate more traffic on the hilltop. Our county supervisor, Clint Hickman, who is also a city resident, is very well aware of the deficiencies with our current library because he receives regular reports from the county library district. The library district has gone to the county board of supervisors and requested funds from the county to build a new library to replace the library that's here. They have offered to the city an opportunity that if the city will go into a joint venture with them, with the county, that we can build, the county will basically fund the building of a new library. The city has got to provide land for the library and then agree to maintain the building and the landscaping and the things around the library once it is built. Building a new library, in terms of land, there's very few places where we could possibly put a library. The area downtown, we have a tremendous investment in that land. And there's already 2.5 acres of public space in the park that's at the center of the development. We have about 6 parcels that we'll be selling for commercial development. So if we end up using some very, very expensive land for the library, it's gonna make that development less likely to provide the financial sustainability that our city needs long-term. So when we look at La Loma, what would a building a new library at La Loma mean? It would provide all of our residents with a modern, fully functioning library. It would help with the overall utilization of the hilltop, as it would bring significant activity to the hilltop. It would help in the long-term success of the Historical Society and its museum. It would help the city fund a sustainable financial model for the hilltop, which could put the hilltop so that it actually is a beautiful place to see, and it's a place that the residents, all the residents, will enjoy visiting. And it would allow the city to move City Hall into this building, which would provide more than enough space for City Hall and the City Council to function properly. So staff is working on a plan. When it's completed, that plan will be presented as a whole plan for all of these problems, all of the issues and all the reasons for the different things that we need to do will all be put together so that you can see it in an integrated answer to a number of issues. We need a new library. This has been true for a long, long time. This plan would provide that facility to our residents, and it would provide something that the city cannot build for the residents. We simply do not have the funds to build a new library. building itself is being budgeted by the county at $5 million. So it's a very significant expense. The new facility would be 10,000 square feet, which is almost 40% larger than what we have in this building. The new facility would be owned by the city, maintained by the city, and still operated by the county library district, just as it is now. It would be located in the current planning, it would be located south of the intersection of Missouri and Litchfield Road, about 1.25 miles from here. And that one of the issues that we have been looking at, and it is for a number of reasons, it's not just this potentially moving this library, but for a number of reasons. One of the goals of council is to try to make sure that our city is connected and that it doesn't feel that much different to be living in the old part of the park or the new part of the park or the village or the greens. We want the whole thing to be connected as one community. To do that, we have to improve our pathway system. Our pathways work relatively well inside of Old Litchfield Park, but they don't work very well in the village and the greens, and they don't work very well going north of Camelback. All of these areas are part of our city, and all of these areas need to be brought together in a better pathway system, and we're working on doing that so that the connectivity on the pathways between here and the area up in the Fry's area and over onto the other side in the Loma Hilltop, that connectivity will be improved over the years by improvements to the pathway system and making sure that there's safe ways for all residents to get between all the different communities. Excuse me, the Hilltop is not today a beautiful part of our city. Most times, or many times, when you drive by it, you probably don't point it out to anybody as being one of the things that you think is beautiful. It's more of an eyesore. We need to change that. We have one of the very most special houses in the entire Southwest Valley on the top of that hill. It has tremendous history to it. None of us would be sitting here if it wasn't for the man who built that house. And it's a shame to see it get in the condition it's in today. So we need to do things to resolve that and to make that no longer true in the future. We also need to move City Hall into something. And again, we don't have money in our budget to build a City Hall. You're looking at another $5 million to build a City Hall or more. If you look at what some of the cities have built that are around us, they've spent millions and tens of millions of dollars on City Halls. We don't do that here in Litchfield Park. We try to make use of our historic facilities. We try to do it in a way that is financially sustainable and justifiable to the residents. So this is a way to resolve that issue for the city staff and the city council in a way that is not going to be tremendously expensive to the residents. It will allow us to maintain the financial condition that we have today. So there are a variety of reasons why this may be a good plan, or we may find out that it's not a good plan. We don't know yet because, again, it's premature. We will have the plan over the next month or 2 months, maybe 2.5 months. And when we have the plan, if it comes from staff as their recommendation that we make some changes, then that will be done in a public meeting with public input, with opportunity for everybody here tonight to comment. The benefit of holding your comments till then is then you can actually see what it is that might be in the future. You can see what's going to be done in the various things that are being moved around a little bit to try to solve some of these problems. It would be a lot easier, I think, for you to make intelligent judgments on whether this is a good plan or a bad plan once the plan is at the point where we can actually look at it. And I'm saying to Harper, thank you for bringing the question up to us. It's something that is almost ready to have good, solid public debate on. It only needs to wait long enough for us to actually, let's get something done that's more concrete so we know for sure what we're talking about. So that completes the response to your question. And I appreciate the fact that you asked us. All right, that brings us now to this meeting's call to community. I assume we have lots of requests to speak. I'm going to call on you in the order that I have in these papers. So I don't know exactly what order the city clerk put them in, but this is the order we'll follow. I would ask you if a comment's already been made, that you try to not simply repeat things. We have, as I said, a very full agenda tonight, and I'm going to suspect once you guys get done, you're going to go home and watch TV and enjoy your dinner. We're going to be sitting here working, and I'd like to get done before 10 o'clock. So I would ask you to just limit your comments to what you think it will add to the conversation. The comments are limited to 3 minutes, so we normally don't hold people strictly to it, but we will watch. We've got a timer, okay. We will be more likely to hold you to 3 minutes tonight than in other nights. So the first person who is asked to speak is Lise Chebanowski. Are you here? Huh? I probably did. I know the last name is Chebanowski.
Lisa?
It's Lise, Lise. Huh?
I don't see her.
Yeah. All right. Next person is Nixon Schlesinger. And if I butcher your names, I apologize.
Hi, my name is Nixon Schlesinger, and I am here tonight to ask you not to move the library. I love the library, and they got a feature called Max, and they have nice people that work here. And it is close enough I can bike or even walk. And with Max, it's able to get books from totally different libraries. So we didn't have to walk in the heat for hours. And I can also go from swim team to the library to get a new book. And it's my favorite field trip to walk to the library from school. So please don't move our library.
Next request is from Susan Alvis.
Okay, I'm Susan Alves. I live in the park. The library is perfectly located to serve the needs of the elementary school, the Montessori school, the rec center preschool, and the rec center itself with its swimming pool and sports courts, like the lab just said. Parents, grandparents, and children using these facilities also use the library. Other residents can walk to the library. Children in the park can cycle or walk to the library. They will not be able to walk 2 miles to the new location. Scout troops use the library. Wigwam visitors use the library. Vendors at arts and crafts fairs use the library. Local restaurants and businesses gain from a downtown library. People using the library also go for lunch or tea, wine or beer, get their hair cut. Businesses want the library to remain downtown. To move our library so the city can convert this building into a city hall is illogical. It is also very selfish. If the city is prepared to spend a lot of money on renovating the building as a city hall, why not spend this money on renovating the building for its original purpose, a library? If the library has to be relocated, it should be placed in the new Litchfield Square, just a stone's throw away. Why turn the existing city hall into a barn? Why not renovate that building and keep it as a city hall? If not, put the city hall next to the Heritage Centre. Why wasn't the library mentioned at the recent State of the City meeting? Who is paying for the construction of the new library? Is it Maricopa County? For decades, the library has been the heart and soul of Litchfield Park. It offers a service completely free to the public. It is the most democratic institution in the park, serving babes in arms, toddlers, school children, and adults. As well as books, it provides a haven for people wishing to read newspapers and magazines and others wishing to use computers. Cultural events at the library include music soirees, history lectures, summer reading programs, etc. These programs belong in a central downtown location. Our park has a unique village atmosphere with a defined downtown. At its center is our library. It doesn't make sense to move it 2 miles away and remove it from all the other interrelated services in the downtown area. It is illogical. Leave it downtown. Thank you.
Philip Hauk.
Name is Philip Help. I live at 840 East Fairway Drive. I hope that this proposal to relocate the library is merely an attempt to gauge the community's feelings about it and not to actually relocate it. I appreciate very much your summary of your reasons why. They're cogent, make sense, but I'm not in favor. The library is part of the Litchfield Park's rich past and demonstrates its sense of community. It may not be chronologically a historical structure, but it is certainly important and historic in terms of the community. How will the relocation of this library building contribute to the objective of maintaining the small town park-like community character? How would it preserve the small town architecture or enhance the notion of being a comfortable village or enhance the heritage of the city? Decisions for community development are generally meant to be consistent with the general plan because the plan should be viewed as the city's guiding statement of policy and is intended to be instrumental in directing local government policy. To that end, I went into the city plan. Section 3.1, community character element. I would like to have an explanation. I would challenge the city to explain in detail to the community how relocating the library will support the goal of community character element. Section 3.2, land use element, guiding principle. The decision should focus on the preservation and revitalization of older neighborhoods, ensuring that new development complements the existing developed areas. So how does the proposed movement of the library preserve or revitalize this neighborhood? Section 3.3, circulation element. The city's small size provides a unique opportunity to free residents from dependence on another automobile in the household and to be able to walk, bike, use an electric cart for short trips. That's section 3.301. So please explain how the proposal to relocate the library enhances this principle. I can wait. So there's your 3 items for response. Thank you.
Next request is from Debbie Markey.
Hi, I'm Debbie Markey. I live on Campina Drive. I'm speaking from my heart. I implore you not to move the library. I don't understand why one of those commercial things couldn't even be used for that. Let's keep it in the center. When my children were little, I wouldn't have wanted them to go 2 miles crossing those roads, which now are like terrible. The traffic is just too busy on there. This may not be a historic structure, but it does honor our founder's wife. And it is historic for that reason. I think that there may be other better solutions, and I hope that you'll listen to us and not move the library. Thank you.
Next request is from Jeff. It looks like Gray, but I'm not certain.
And I really appreciate you speaking at length about it. I learned a lot about what you guys do. I think as you guys start looking at it, could you please look at the possibility of expanding the size of this library? Just make it bigger where it is. And I understand your point about wanting more traffic up on La Loma. but it's always been a set apart place. So you've got to overcome just that spirit of it. You're not allowed to go to low, so you've got to overcome that whole spirit. And then you could build pickleball courts and a skate park out there, and if you want to get traffic. But the other thing is, I think it's dangerous for children to go to that area. I'm not gonna go, it's tricky for me on a bicycle, that whole there, there's only one bike path which goes north on Litchfield. There's no other bike paths, and in fact, there's not even any shoulder, which will probably change, but there's no bike path where they've already changed it coming south on Litchfield Road. So I just think it's very dangerous for kids, and I could speak a long time. I'd like to see the library stay here. To be honest, if you move it there, I'm still gonna go, but I think this library changed my life. I've been coming to this library since it was in the waiting room of the dentist office next door. And this library changed my life.
Next request is from Stephanie. I think it's, thank you.
Right.
Okay.
Scarecrow. Hello, everyone. I moved here in March of 2015, and I was coming from out of state. And I had been looking at areas like Avondale, Tolleson, and it felt cookie cutter homes, no character, very just bland. And it depressed me thinking I might have to buy a home in one of those areas. My parents took me over to Scottsdale, which was nice. It's still a little big for me. I'm a beach town girl. And then I came over here and pulled in, and it felt like I had found home. And one of the things that made that about home is this library. I have my library book here that I checked out before this meeting. I walk over here at least once a week and get a book. I check out the little book sale and talk about books with her. It's super cool. I don't have children, but I know that there are kids that walk from 2 schools we have down there and 1 school over here that stop in here after school, get their books that they need to get on their computers. This is like a cornerstone of small town America, is a library. And that's what drew me to Litchfield Park, was small town America. And I don't care how big City Hall is. I don't care that you're sharing an office. I don't care about any of that. And neither do these kids that live in this community. This library is the heart of this town. It's not your commercial building over there that's got nobody checked out to buy anything right now. It's not, it's been a drain money pit at this point. And to take away our library because of the money pit over there, that's gonna have nice paved roads and some plants, is ridiculous. So I know I'm not speaking maybe intelligently because I don't have all the information yet, but this library needs to stay here. Thank you.
Next request is from Jennifer. Is it Quirk? Quick.
Hello. I live down the street on Wigwam Boulevard. My 2 kids go to Millennium. They've attended Litchfield Elementary and Western Sky, and now Millennium. We've walked, they've ridden their bikes to school, to the other school, and then my kids were happy when my son started driving because now they didn't have to ride their bikes to school anymore. I love living in the park. I love that I feel in a world that is crazy and busy, and I worry about my kids driving. I worry about what they're exposed to on social media. I worry about what their world is going to be, but I don't worry about them when they're in the park. When my son turned 10, his request was to be allowed to drive or to ride his bike to the library by himself to check out a book and then to stop by Ribbons for an ice cream and then to come home. And he did, and he was excited about it. He met a friend and they had this adventure together. And that's something that doesn't happen in a lot of places. That's something that doesn't happen in a lot of cities, in a lot of towns even. There are other suburbs around to the west of Phoenix, but Litchfield Park is special. I love that we have small restaurants nearby that are amazing and rival any or better than any bigger chain that we have nearby.
And you can tell by the lines outside on weekends for brunch that that is the place where people want to go get their breakfast and spend their time and enjoy their company. I guess I love Litchfield Park. I love this library. And could it expand? Perhaps, but it doesn't need to. Or since my kids were little, we've done the summer reading program. We've requested books. If that's not available, we've gotten ebooks from them. Sometimes it's just a place to meet up, to talk to someone. I was here last week picking up a book for vacation, and the librarian just came over and made some great recommendations that they kept my pages turning on my trip. So it's larger is not always better. And I think that the city of Litchfield Park personifies that our small city is a beautiful place. And I think our small library fits the needs of our community beautifully, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Next request is from Andrew Goforth. No? Not here? Oh, that's not in the library. Okay. All right. Okay, so I guess that takes up all the ones who requested to speak on called for the call to the community. I've got one here, but I'm sorry, yours is about lights. So Peter Mahoney.
I'm gonna take left.
If we fill out a form and do it quickly. You're done.
So I plan on speaking tonight on the issue with lights, but also I want to speak about the library, which is a different agenda item. So everybody who's already has spoken so far. Probably should have spoken, I think, later, but that's just my point of view, because you can't get an answer to your questions until the next meeting. Okay.
The agendized item on the library does not deal with its location. It deals with a minor change to the IGA, so.
So can I speak twice then?
If you want to speak about the IGA, you can speak twice.
Okay, I do. So I'll speak first about the lights. So last September, I came to this meeting, spoke to the council about my concerns about the downtown. And the lights that we were promised 4 years ago to be put in never took place. And after I spoke, I got a letter from the city manager, which basically said you had no idea what I was talking about. I talked about the grass and the medians downtown that were brown. Most of the grass was nut grass. It's still mostly nut grass and weeds. But nothing happened with the lights now. It's been 9 months. These are our lights downtown. They're shooting down to the ground. More shooting down to the ground. They're on all day. They shine in your eyes at night when you turn the corner. More. I can go through every single one of these, but I'm going to leave this with you guys. They're hanging like this. They're supposed to illuminate the palm trees and make downtown Litchfield Park something special. Kind of like you're making the new village square special. But we don't have that down here. And I've worked my tail off for the last 23 years to make downtown Litchfield Park something special. And I'm not getting what I feel is right for our community, because it doesn't look great. We always talk about us being the special place of the West Valley, where everybody wants to live. But we don't put our money where our mouth is, and it's very disappointing in that regard. So I'm asking that, by the way, I spoke to one of the public works guys, and they were kind of frustrated. And one said, oh yeah, those came in back before, I think Chuck Ransom was still the public works director. And I said, yes, but I handed him one of the covers off the outside of the light that had fallen off. So once again, I don't want a letter saying just nothing. I want somebody to repair these downtown lights, and every palm tree in downtown Litchfield, all 4 ways, should be illuminated, so we look, again, special. Here are the pictures. I'll leave them for you, and then I will fill out the form. Thank you.
Okay, you filled the form out really quickly.
Yes, did you?
I
can you
have
read it?
no idea what this says.
Well, I'm
What is your
Shelley.
name? Shelley.
Smith.
Shelley
Yes, Smith.
Smith?
Right.
Okay.
The reason why I moved here a long time ago was exactly this corner. I was from Wind Valley area. And my husband says, oh, we're gonna go to this place on Litchfield, or excuse me, Indian School. I was like, oh, all I knew about Indian School was Cartwright District. And I was like, oh no, I'm nervous. But we came here, fell in love with it. And my kids went to all the schools. But beyond that, I want to ask you if you know that Litchfield School District have gone to half-day Wednesdays. That means they get out at 12:30. It is put a lot of strain on parents. And so they also, which I need some of you to know, oh, Hadley and Nixon have been in my drama program, which they spoke to, so thank you. They've also, the school district last Tuesday just had a school board meeting and they raised after school programs facility fees, which will put out of business Jack Donahue. His basketball, he will shut down. It will put out Betsy Etchart, who does Color Wheel. It will put her out of business, and it will put me out of business, a little drama, because the fees that they raised are ridiculous. We've had a meeting with them this morning. We shed light on it to the CFO, who's had 2 years experience at Litchfield. So before I heard of this, I'm like, okay, at least these children can go to the library. Because that made me feel good, because I'm always for the youth. If you take away the library, where are all these children gonna go? Well, I'll tell you where they're gonna go. On their phones. Or they're going to be jumping over fences to get into schools, to play. They're gonna do something, and things that we don't want them to do. That's all.
Okay, not only do we not have all the entire council here tonight, but we have a sub for our city attorney. So we have a city attorney question. We have a request to speak, maybe 2 requests to speak eventually, but 1 request right now that's on a consent item, which we normally would not have any discussion on, and it's cannot be taken off consent unless it's done by the council. So is it, what do we do with a request to speak on a consent item?
And normally you could pull a consent item if there is a request to speak. Council can pull it. Council frequently will do that at the request of a member of the public who wants to speak. So we do that at the time of the consent agenda. Not right now.
All right. We have another one. This was what you just did. You just did the call to community, right?
You just said I could fill another one out.
You want to speak on the call to community twice?
You said I could speak on the library later, so I'm still planning on it.
You can't speak on the library relocation about the IGA, but if you wanted to say, you can have 3 minutes if you want to say something about the library relocation in addition to your comments about the lights.
Thank you. And I'm gonna ask a little latitude of time. I think I can provide some information that nobody else probably has about 20-some years ago when this same situation raised its head. So I was just elected to the council in 2000. About 2002, we learned that there was going to be, the library was going to be moved to the same locations. Nobody in the council knew, the mayor didn't even. It was done by the then city manager. So we got involved and we met with the owner of the property, who also owned the property across the street, where Prize is now. It was called Public Properties. And we worked a deal with the mayor of Glendale Den and Lee Scruggs to have them release their strip annex on the Fry's location so the city could get it. We lobbied her and met with her, and she finally gave it to us. She wasn't happy about it, but she gave it to us, which later became one of the most important parts of Litchfield Park, because that center brings incredible amount of tax dollars to the city. At the time we were working on this, we came to an agreement with Republic Properties if the library did get built there, that the Library Association with Republic Properties would put an underpass under Camelback. Well, when it's all said and done, it learned it was too expensive, so they never got built. It stayed where it was, and they built a new library out at the White Place. We then worked to get an underpass built here at the underneath Litchfield Road, so that students could go to and from easily from the high schools, the middle school that was recently built, and the grade school. And we built that at quite an expense just for that library. You mentioned earlier that the land was too expensive to move this library onto the city center. You know, I know how much money we spent for that property. We need to have something on that property, just like Goodyear has their movie theater, brings people to that area. There's nothing to bring people to this area. I know, again, the numbers that we met with all the developers, you need 125 to 130,000 cars a day passing by if you want anything like an AJ's. That's just the way it is. So we're gonna not have that, but we need to bring people to this area. It's a mistake not to, you're gonna move this library, put it on that property to bring people into the community, so they will stop, they will go to the new restaurants that are coming in. They will go to the new shops that are coming in. That is very, very important. So if you're gonna try to move this library, I say move it there. Do not destroy our downtown. This was our town plan. This was Mr. Litchfield's plan to make this place special, and we're tearing it apart slowly by slowly. Those are my comments.
All right, that completes all of the requests to speak. There's one more. Okay, she has it done for an agenda item. So, Michelle, if you want to speak on the relocation, we need to do it not on an agenda item, but on the call to community.
You just got the wrong box.
Yeah, what's that?
Oh, sorry. She's speaking on the library.
The relocation. Relocation of the library.
Yes, yes.
Okay, then we'll change your form and you can speak.
Hello, everybody. I am Michelle Morales. I live in the park. I have 4 children. Actually, Anne Claire sold our house to us. I see Ron Claire there. Thank you. She convinced us, you know, I was scared to move into the park, even though it was lovely. She said it was a great place to live, and she was right. So I'm very happy that we're here, but I've been bringing my kids here since they were little. My oldest is now 22. And I'm just speaking as a mom that I'm a library nerd. I know my library number by heart. I have over 1,000 requests from the library in my history. That's not even counting my whole history. It's only when I started looking at my new number. So I frequent this library very much and use it all the time. And I agree with the other moms that spoke about our kids being able to drive in their golf carts, on bikes, coming over here, going to Ribbon, supporting the local community. And instead of taking away from the heart of Litchfield Park, I wish more would be added for the community, more dance classes, piano classes, like all of that could be here in the center. I thought that that's what was going to happen inside of Litchfield Park, especially with the new arrangement that is being made over there. Like, that's what makes the community special. That's what makes it home. And it is a very special place, and we don't want it to be slowly chipped away. This is the center of the community, and we need places like this where we can all gather. And it's so awesome to see all of these, you know, community, all neighbors, all of our neighbors here supporting this. And I felt like I was so tired too. I didn't want to come at first. I mean, at first I was fired up, but then I was tired and I was like, no, but I said, I love this library. It's been in my life for years, decades now. And this is the least I can do for it. Speak up to please keep it here. Don't move it. If you move it into that center. If not, there's no better place than here.
All right, I think that now completes all the requests to speak for call the community. Thank you for your input. Brings us to our next item on the agenda, which is a presentation of Yard of the Quarter. Do we have Stafford and Carrie Smith here? No. Okay, well, we'll recognize them publicly. Just Stafford and Carrie Smith, 4718 North Village Parkway, for the winner of the Yard of the Quarter. And from the pictures that I have seen in my packet, that's a beautiful yard. Next item is public safety reports. We'll start with the Goodyear Fire Department.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tim Wayne standing in for Chief Paul. He decided he wanted to go to Vegas this week. I got a brief report for overview of what we did in May. I'll start with the fire prevention side of the house. Only one occupancy inspection was performed in the month of May for us. Total call volume 75, down 9% from the previous month. Of those, we saw 67 EMS calls, 1 call for service, 2 good intent calls, and 1 false alarm. I would like to comment on the incident we had down the street at the lake where we had a small fire. It's like our investigators finished their report on that, and it may have been the cause of cigarettes. Just that started embers within some of the trash that was collected underneath. So maybe it could be of interest to council to hear that. With that, I'll stand with for any questions.
All right, any questions? Any questions from the Zoom participants? Seeing them, thank you for your presentation. Please thank your firemen. We appreciate their service to our community.
Thank you, sir. Proud to serve.
Next item on the agenda is the Avondale Litchfield Park Police Department report.
Hello, Mayor and Council. Sergeant Emmett with Avondale PD. I'm going to cover the numbers for May of this year. For May, we had 340 calls for service. It was up a little bit from last year. We had 313. Out of those, they were 62% officer initiated, so 210, that's traffic stops, checking out suspicious people, business checks, etc. 130 calls for service from citizens, which was 38%. For the month, we had 74 business checks. We did 33 speed details, mainly focusing towards the end of the month on Litchfield Road, kind of in front of the Greens area. We had 56 traffic stops. Out of those, 39 were warnings, 17 were citations. And then we had 7 flock alerts, which resulted in 1 recovered stolen vehicle.
Okay, questions?
I have a quick question for you. I noticed in looking at your report that the flock picked up a sex offender in a vehicle. Was that the same vehicle 6 times or however many times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times?
So there was 2 separate vehicles. There is 1 person that has been triggering most of them.
Same individual.
Right, same for 4 of them. There was 1 other one that was in and out pretty quickly.
So very good. Our flock system is working, is keeping our community safe.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any questions from the Zoom participants? Looks like not. Thank you for your report. Thank your police officers for the service they provide to us.
Sir.
Next item is staff monthly report from the finance department. Ms. Peterson.
Mayor and Council. Tonight I have the finance report for the end of May. So we'll start with our local sales tax. Starting at the top, retail sales were down 13% this May over last May. Our online sales were nearly flat. Our restaurant and bars were down just 3%. Utilities were up 23. Rentals were down 31, but if you look at fiscal or May of 23, it was nearly double of 22, and we had like a one-time large anomaly payment last May, so that's why it's down so much this year. So it's actually more in line where it should be. And then our other category was up 17%. So overall, May of 24 was 6% less than May of 23. Our construction sales tax was down 62%. And then year over year, sales tax without construction sales tax is up 7%, and construction sales tax is down 37. Any questions on sales tax?
Questions?
Nope.
Looks like no.
Okay, moving on to, the general fund. We're at 92% of the fiscal year and our revenues are at 108% of budget estimates. So we've collected 16.3 million through the end of May. Our expenses overall are at 10.9 million or 88% of budget estimates. So at the end of May, our revenues exceeded expenditures by 5.4 million. Our construction sales tax that I just mentioned, it is coming in under what we anticipated at 52%. We did receive 1.8 from Maricopa County. We've spent 385,000 on capital. We've started recognizing our transfers to Litchfield Square of 2.3. And that leaves an ending fund balance in our general fund of 31.5 million. The remainder of this report is included in your packet that includes rec special events and our special revenue funds. And I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Questions from council?
No, sir.
Thanks for your report. We appreciate it. Next item on the agenda is reports from various staff members, including contamination, plume update, capital improvement projects, special projects, and magistrate quarter. Is there any questions from council that you would like to have staff address from the material that you've been provided in your packets? Nope. So if not, we want to say thank you to Mr. Froke, who is going to be leaving us. This is his last council meeting. He's moving to Minnesota where it's even hotter than it is here. We want to wish him the best. Hopefully his life in Minnesota goes very well. We have a new planning director starting Monday. So thank you for your service to our community. Thank you.
I have two words for you, John. Mosquito repellent. State bird. I heard they licensed them. They were so big.
Okay, that brings us to our consent agenda, which is item 9. It's 9A through N. We do not need to take anything off since the person who had requested to speak spoke on call of the community. Is there anything anything in the consent agenda that any member of council wants to remove and have discussion? If not, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
I'll second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Councilor Romack, did you say aye? I think you're muted.
Aye.
Okay, we got it. What? Oh, okay. Well, what is Sammy last name? Tellis. So I've been informed Sammy Tellis is also here. Was she here? She's gone? Can you catch Sammy? We can say goodbye to Sammy also. She is a pool employee who is also, this week is her last week. Hello, Sammy. We want to thank you for your service to the community also. So I'm not sure where you're going, but I hope your success, it's going to be a great success for you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we keep getting these requests to speak, and this one, I have to be accommodating with this one because it's from a former mayor. So Mayor Barleycorn, if you have something to say, I'm not sure what item you're speaking on, but we're going to recognize you on whatever it is.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Colin Barleycorn, 950 East Libre Circle. Just wanted to say thank you to the staff and also the council for the compromise we came up with of the perimeter wall. Since that, I know it's any information only for us here on B4, the special projects, I'm going to, let's just throw it there. So I wanted to say thank you, and I also want to give a great thanks to Councilmember Lisa Bernard Watson for supporting me last week. That's all I wanted to say was thanks for the compromise, and I'd like to offer a suggestion, is that you buy enough block to be able to fill in those windows that you're gonna put in the wall.
Good idea. All right, so we are done with our consent agenda. We're on our normal business agenda now. Item 10A, public hearing on the final city budget. Is there a staff presentation?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I don't have a formal presentation. There's been no changes to the expense budget since the tentative adoption. There's been one small change to the revenue budget, and that's due to the U.S. Census Bureau population estimates were lower than originally projected by 76. So that reduced our state share revenue by 58,600 in the general fund and 10,434 in the reserve fund. But there was no impact to operations. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from council? This is an opportunity for the public to speak about our final budget. Is there any public comment? I don't have any requests to speak. Okay, is there a motion?
I move that we accept the final budget as presented. That kind of what you-
Well, no, actually, we got to close the public hearing. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
No motion. Public hearing is closed. Now there's a public hearing on the street light improvement slids. Ms. Peterson.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The SLID budgets were presented last month for tentative adoption, and there have been no changes since then.
Any questions from council about the SLID budget? Any comments from the public? I have no request to speak, so we'll close the public hearing on the SLID budget. Goes on to item C now, which is a consideration of adopting resolution 24-569, which is the fiscal year 2025 final budget in the amount of $27,242,060 and the 5-year capital plan. Is there such a motion?
Yes. So
Yes.
moved.
Second.
Who seconded?
Anton.
Was it Ann? Okay, seconded by Ann. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any nays? I don't know, Councilor Romack, is that a nay or is that a late yes?
It was a late yes, I apologize.
Okay. Going on to item D then is consideration of resolution 24-570 to adopt the fiscal year 25 street light improvement districts for District 1, 2, and 3, their final budgets. Is there a motion to adopt that resolution?
So moved.
Is there a second? I think that was the vice mayor. Is there any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm sorry, I was an aye and I didn't say it.
All right, so it passes unanimously. Next item is adoption of resolution 24-572 concerning. Was there something from Zoom that I missed? Nope. Adoption, this is a motion to adopt resolution 24-572, which is the new citywide fee schedule. Is there a motion to adopt this resolution?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a couple of seconds. Any discussion on the new fee schedule? All those in favor of the motion to adopt resolution 24-572, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, that is, the motion is adopted. Next item is somebody needs to mute themselves on the Zoom. Next item is a discussion and possible action to provide staff direction on city investments. We have a presentation, Ms. Peterson.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Don't have a formal presentation, but just a quick discussion. Last year, when the city issued our Series 2023 bonds, revenue bonds. Also made the decision to invest those bond proceeds with Stifel. I had the opportunity to meet with them a few weeks ago to go over the performance of the investments. So from the inception of June of 2023 to May of just last month, interest earnings on the bond proceeds of 11.2 million are $492,505, so performing very well. And in my discussions with them in moving forward, I wanted to ask for staff direction on investing city general fund cash. We currently have our money sitting with the state treasurer, local government investment pool. It's performing well, but it is strictly based on the market. So if interest rates do start to come down, we'll immediately see that. Stifel does not have a minimum that they require. We had looked into this before, and the other place we talked to required a minimum of 10 million investment. With them, we can start as little as 500,000 or $1 million to lock it in to maybe short-term CDs to get locked into interest earnings. But I'm just seeking direction if you think I should have further discussions with them and get a proposal. Like,
Okay, it would make sense to get them to do a comparison of what our investment earnings would be with them as compared to the state treasurer. And then we'll need to find out if there's a way to compare the safety of the funds invested.
okay. I will move forward with that and hopefully have something for you in August.
Is there any other direction from staff concerning the investment of these funds? I'm sorry?
Vice Mayor.
You need a motion, do you?
Yes. Motion to direct staff.
All right, you want a motion to direct staff in the way that they've been directed so far.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, so you've been instructed twice now. Next item is resolution 24-575, which is a change to vacation leave policy. Is there a presentation on that?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Hi, I have no
Snuck up
formal
there.
presentation, just a quick discussion. In your package, you have the recommended motion to move to adopt resolution 24-575. That's HR 3021 vacation leave. It's currently, the background on this, currently full-time employees accrue based on years of service with the city of Litchfield Park. With the addition of section 3B, public sector accrual for full-time employees with ASR service time, eligible employees would be adjusted to accrue based on ASRS years of service. Currently, the following cities have a policy in place that allows their employees to accrue vacation based on ASRS years of service. That's the city of Goodyear and the city of Tempe. If this were to be approved, the current per pay period accrual rate process and cap would remain as is based on the normal accrual schedule, which is outlined in the documentation. Additionally, the policy would aid in recruiting and retention efforts of employees with municipal work experience. Also, based on existing employees, the public sector accrual full-time employee with ASR service time would impact 9 employees currently. We have provided a list of those employees and omitted their names and titles for privacy purposes. The highlighted sections indicate their current status with the city as far as years of service and the current annual accrual amount that they would receive. The second highlighted section indicates their years of service with ASRS, and if approved, those years of service, how they would accrue annually. I'd like to just reiterate that if this change is approved, it would assist in hiring new experienced employees from other government entities, as well as changing the annual accruals for existing employees with previous ASRS years of service outside of Litchfield Park. The policy would not change the total of the cap of 240 hours, but would affect some employees with increased annual leave time. It should be noted that this issue is frequently asked when interviewing potential candidates from other ASRS agencies. The financial impact here would be no change to the funding process, as vacation hours are expensed per department. Rather, it would be an impact on productivity, as the eligible employees would have the ability to take more time off from work. In accordance with the existing policy, payout of accrual of unused vacation hours would take place as long as the employees provided 2 weeks' notice and passed their 1 year of service with the city of Litchfield Park.
Okay, any questions from council?
So it looks like it affects some of these people pretty dramatically.
You're correct.
This is basically providing for credit for years of service at other municipal organizations.
Yes,
right?
Mayor.
Which is what schools do, other organizations, you know.
Have you run into problems hiring people that this has been a big issue?
Mr. Mayor and Council, yes, sir, it is frequently asked. As Lisa said, particularly when you're trying to hire a mid-level employee from another agency, they do want to get those years in service. Because, for example, if they work for a neighborhood agency and had 10 years experience, they come here on day one or less vacation days than they did there after 10 years. This policy will change that, so that their vacation days accrued every year would be set according to their time at ASRS versus the agency, if that makes sense. One thing I would point out is this would change it for existing employees that have prior Litchfield Park ASRS years, and of course it would help us as a hiring tool as well. And as Lisa pointed out, it doesn't affect their accrual cap. They can still only accrue up to 240 annually, but they can earn more every year. As you said, for the employees that it does affect, they would earn more vacation time to use. If you don't mind calling, you don't want to remind, can you hear us, sir? Yes. You can say we're not to use you for a second, Mr. Mayor, it's like that, see if you can hear us. Councilor Donahue, you still with us?
John, you can hear. I can hear everything. I'm just having trouble getting the screen working.
Okay, well, as long as you can hear us and speak, sir, just making sure. Thank you, Councilman Romack. Hey, Council, do you have any questions on this?
Any questions? Yeah, any questions from council? If not, is there a motion to adopt resolution 24-575 related to personnel policy HR 3021 concerning vacation leave?
So moved. You can give it to Ann. I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Resolution is adopted. Now we need to introduce ordinance 24-282 golf cart restrictions. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor and Council, you remember last month we did a presentation on this about pathways, and the mayor's spoken this week tonight in response to call the public. You remember in the current codes, golf carts are restricted on streets over 35 miles an hour. And several months ago, we lowered the speed limits on Camelback and Litchfield Road to 35 miles an hour. So inadvertently, when we did that, it allowed golf carts to legally drive on Litchfield and Camelback. As I told you, I can't imagine doing that myself, but it happens. People do it. There's been golf carts on Camelback. I've actually had people tell me that they're going to slow traffic down on Camelback Road with the golf cart. Okay. But this ordinance, if approved, would change that. It would restrict golf carts on Camelback and Litchfield Road. Just as a reminder, golf carts are already restricted on Dyson, because Dyson is 45, so that would change. Golf carts can still drive within the walls. They can still drive within Sunset Terrace, the Greens, and the Villages. And the reason why all those streets are under 35, so that would change. So the only roads this would affect again would be Camelback Road and Litchfield Road. Another thing that's changes is that one, for a golf cart to cross these busy roads, they can do it via crosswalk, because right now they can't legally do that. And also that they can use sidewalks as needed to connect the pathways. There's many areas in the city that have existing pathways that are wide enough for golf carts. That's why they're golf cart pathways. But there's other areas that have sidewalks that are not built for golf carts. as you saw last month, it's in our plan to eventually make connecting pathways for all these areas connected to a golf cart, but that would take time and money like anything else. So we would ask for this ordinance to make it so that, again, there's no golf carts on Litchfield Camelback Road. But however, they can use the sidewalks to connect from pathway to pathway as needed. So even though they can't drive on the road, there is a way to get down along Litchfield Road. There is a way to connect without being on the actual road. If that makes sense. Again, this is the ordinance for first reading. I welcome questions if there are any at this time.
Questions from council about this ordinance? I still have a question on whether it's really necessary. We can discuss this further when we get closer to actually adopting it in August. Is there a motion to introduce the ordinance 24-282?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, so the ordinance is introduced on a vote of 6-1. Next item is adoption of ordinance 24-283, which is a sale of Litchfield Square Lot 4 to LP Heritage Partners and declaring an emergency. Mr. Williams.
Mayor and Council, this is for the purchase of parcel 4. For those of you that aren't familiar with Litchfield Square, parcel 4 is the parcel that's immediately south of Scout Lodge. Parcel 3 was purchased by Heritage Partners in the summer of 2022. At that time, they were going to build a parking lot on parcel 4, but the city was going to continue to own the land. That has since changed. Several months ago, they let us know they wanted to buy parcel 4 to build parking on. Per their agreement, they are required to build 106 parking spaces on parcel 4. So we did adopt the development agreement change last month that put timelines on when they had to begin construction on parcel 4. It also required that they eventually join parcel 3 and parcel 4 into one, because there's various issues there with easements, et cetera. So combining them will affect that. Thank you. We'll resolve that issue. So item I is for the ordinance to sell the property. As the mayor said, it does have an emergency clause. And the reason why is they want to move ahead with this purchase this month. Normally an ordinance would require 2 readings, and thus they couldn't even do it till September. With development, you don't want to wait that long, so it has an emergency clause. But again, this item would be for the purchase of parcel 4. And the next item is related to this. That's about the CFD agreement. Just a small note on this. The purchase price was $8.60 per square foot. I'm not telling you the whole price because we've just figured out exactly how big the parcel is, but it's $8.60 per square foot. Just as a note for the public, the reason that parcel is only valued at $8.60 is because it has a parking encumbrance. What that means is the only thing that can be built on parcel 4 is parking. That's it. You can't build a building there. If you could build a building there, it would be worth much more than that. But because it has a parking encumbrance, it's at $8.60 a square foot. Mayor and council, staff recommends adoption of the ordinance at this time.
Any questions from council? Is there a motion to adopt ordinance 24-283 authorizing the sale of Litchfield Square Lot 4 to LP Heritage Partners LLC and declaring an emergency?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion is adopted unanimously. Next item is to authorize the city to enter into the Litchfield Square Parcel 4 purchase agreement with LP Heritage Partners LLC and the CFD district. Is there a presentation?
Mayor and council, just a brief comment on this one. This is basically a development agreement that brings parcel 4. It puts it under the requirements of the CFD. All the properties in Litchfield Square are in the CFD. We did the exact same document for parcel 3 in summer of 22, and we will be doing this on all parcels we sell in Litchfield Square. So this is the CFD document for parcel 4.
Okay. Any questions from council? Is there a motion to authorize the city to enter into the Litchfield Square Parcel 4 purchase agreement with LP Heritage Partners LLC and the district and the CFD district?
So moved.
Is there a
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Introduction, next item of business is introduction and of an ordinance dealing with backyard fowl. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor and council, something's foul with this issue. Sorry. Oh, Matthew. Mayor and council, this is a required ordinance. The state recently passed a law that actually allowed people to have hens in their backyard, obviously for egg raising, that sort of thing. There are requirements that require the chickens be in pens. They can't have male chickens, obviously no roosters, so crowing isn't an issue, that sort of thing. It does have requirements on how big the parcel can be, the structures they have to have the chickens safely housed, et cetera. Anyway, basically this ordinance brings us in compliance with state law that was just passed. This is for first reading with a second reading in August.
Any questions or comments from council?
I just would like to say, I thought you.
Vice
chicken-
Mayor.
That joke.
Thanks. That really adds to the quality of the conversation.
Does
Thank
it?
you. Yeah. Any other comments or questions?
Vice Mayor.
Yes, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Thank you. Since we are now a charter city, do we have to do this?
Oh, that's interesting.
Mr. Mayor, yes, we do. There was actually a statewide clause that was included in this ordinance that considered this to be an issue of statewide concern. And because of that reason, it overrides the charter, sir.
Do we have a
Any other-
deadline? That's when we have to do.
Say it again.
Do we have a deadline as to when we have to do this?
Number 90 days.
It's a 90-day clause that you said September the 1st.
August 31st.
Our city attorney that's here with us, Mr. Vice Mayor, is saying it has to be by August 31st. We would plan to have a second reading in August, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Any other questions or comments? If none, is there a motion to introduce ordinance 24-284 on backyard fowl related to HB 2325, which was recently signed into law?
So moved.
Is there a second on the motion to introduce?
Second.
Any further discussion on introducing ordinance 24-284? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion
Nay.
passes. All right, motion passes 6-1. Next item is item L, which is a go forth settlement discussion. Mr. Goforth has asked for the opportunity to speak to the council, which we will allow him to do that now. This is an item that we're going to take up in executive session, so we're not going to deal with the item until we get out of executive session.
Thank you, Mayor. Andy Goforth, I live in Sun City. I just wanted to, you guys have such a busy council meeting tonight with so many important things. So I just wanted to thank you guys for getting me on the agenda. Kind of need to get it handled with you guys, and I'm appreciative that, you know, Paige has been working with me, and I saw on the staff recommendation that they were maybe gonna vote to turn it over to either the city manager or attorney to have me be able to deal with. So that'd be great if you guys could do that. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. So this item, we'll take up this item after we get out of our executive session, which is after a couple more business items. And we will vote on this. What we're going to do, we'll vote on it yet tonight when we come back out of executive session.
Great. Thank you very much.
Next item is approval of city clerk contract. I think we're all involved in discussion of the changes that we had recommended for the city clerk's contract. That's been incorporated in what's in your packet. I don't know if the city clerk has any comment on it, other than you're happy? Happy, she's happy. So is there a motion to approve the contract for the city clerk, Terry Roth, effective July 1st?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion or questions from council? All those in favor of approving the contract for the city clerk, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries and the contract is approved. Next item is the same for the contract that we discussed about our city manager. That's in your packet also. Mr. City Manager, do you have anything you want to say about the contract?
No, sir, Mr. Mayor, I'm like the city clerk, I'm happy with the contract and thank you for that. The only question I would ask, if there was any changes to the goal list that you provided, please let me know.
Yeah. So with that, before we actually move to approve the contract, everyone on the council has received a copy of the list of goals that was put together for the city manager for this next upcoming fiscal year. If you have any input on those goals, please get that to me before another month so that we can get those incorporated into the goals, so he knows what he's going to be evaluated on next year. With that, is there a motion to approve the contract with the city manager effective July 1st, 2024?
So moved.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move that we approve the contract, subject to his no longer making foul jokes.
I can do that.
Councilman Romack, we could hit the mute button for you, except we need you for the quorum, so.
See, you need me for something.
Exactly. All right, there is a motion to approve the city manager contract. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion on the contract? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, contract is approved.
Thank you.
All right. Now we do have a need to go into executive session on items B, C, 11B, C, D, E, and F. So is there a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, we're gonna move into executive session. When we get out of executive session, the only thing that we're gonna take up is item L, which is the potential settlement of the Goldforth judgment. So you're welcome to stay around if you want to hear what we do with that, or you can look at our minutes. It's up to you. Begin now? All right. So call the regular meeting back to order. We still have item L to be considered, which is a direction to, this is 10L, direction to the city manager on negotiating with Mr. Goldforth. I think we've provided direction through discussions with our attorney in the executive session. Do we need a vote to just authorize him to go forth and try to settle this consistent with what we've told him?
You can do a motion and vote on that, just that you don't.
Consistent with what we instructed.
Discuss the authority in the
Right.
motion, you can just say, as.
Absolutely. Okay, so is there a motion to instruct the city manager to negotiate with Mr. Goforth consistent with the direction that was provided to him in executive session?
So moved.
Is there a second? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Had to have a water break, too much icing on that cake. You cannot eat cake and have a meeting at the same time. All right, so there's no further discussion. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Oh,
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you for your attention. We got her done before 10 o'clock. I appreciate that.
Very good.
Oh, but we're not done, are we? We have to do
Oh, we have to-
slids. CFDs, okay. So let me find my agendas for that. Got them all mixed up here. Might not even have them. There's two of them, correct?
Yes.
All right, so we'll call the meeting to order for the the Village at Litchfield Park Community Facilities District. First item of business is approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the May 15th, 2024 special meeting minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Minutes are approved. Now we'll have a public hearing. Start for the Village at Litchfield Park Community Facility District Budget for 2025, staff presentation.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Last month, you adopted the tentative budget for the Village at Litchfield Park in the amount of $365,375, and there's been no change since the tentative adoption. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from council? Any comments from the public? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. Take on item number C, which is adoption of the budget. Is there a motion to adopt resolution Village at Litchfield Park CFD 24-47 to adopt the final budget of $365,375 for fiscal year 2025?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion is adopted. We don't need an executive session, so is there a motion to adjourn?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay.
Put him down.
All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. We are adjourned for the Village of Litchfield Park Community Facilities District. Now we're going to call the Litchfield Square Community Facilities District to order. First item is approval of minutes. Is there a motion to approve the May 15th, 2024 special meeting minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Minutes are approved. Next item is a public hearing. Is there a staff presentation on the Litchfield Square Community Facilities District final budget for fiscal year 2025?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. There's been no activity in the CFD since its inception, so it's a budget of zero.
Zero. All right. Is there a public comment? Running efficiently at zero. We like that. Close the public hearing. Is there a motion to adopt resolution LS CFD 24-09 to adopt the final budget for the Litchfield Square CFD of $0?
So moved.
So moved.
Is there a second? There's three
Second.
motions and one of them, we'll take one of them as a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving this large budget, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. And there's no need for an executive session, so is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned.